Hello everyone, as with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this. Ripple and Stellar are in the Epstein files, but they're in these files because they're a threat to Bitcoin. So you see here, Ripple and Jed's new Stellar are bad for the ecosystem we are building, and it does our company damage to have investors who are backing two horses in the same race. Happy to discuss a fair way to deal with this. Now, this was from Austin Hill to Jeffrey Epstein. So they knew back then, back in 2014, that Ripple and Stellar were a threat to Bitcoin already. And then there's this. So Austin Hill was the CEO and co-founder of Blockstream at the time, a company focused on Bitcoin. To my understanding, the email to Epstein and Joy Chi by Austin Hill was just another effort by Bitcoin maxis to fight Ripple and Stellar. We know that Epstein and Ito were connected through MIT Media Lab, where the lab received money through some of the foundations that Epstein controlled. Seems that Epstein and Joy Choi Ito were invested in Blockstream and were also involved or were considering getting involved with Ripple and Stellar. Second recipient of the email was the co-founder of Digital Garage, a Japanese company invested in Blockstream. He was also one of the advisors to the Stellar Foundation back in 2014. Austin Hill was putting pressure on them to reduce or take their allocation away from Blockstream in order to pick a horse, his horse, in this race. The person on the email, Reid Hoffman, was also a board member of Blockstream. So remember when the Bitcoin maxis used to always say, Ripple is waging war on the Bitcoin community. Ripple is the bad guy. They want to crush Bitcoin. In the background, Bitcoin maxis and Epstein and all these other foundations were working together to get rid of Ripple and Stellar all along. Blockshell News. Recent Epstein email leaks show that entities controlled by sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein funded Blockstream investments with $500,000 in 2014. And then you see this wonderful email right here. The way the Bitcoin is organized currently is that there are 5 core developers and around 100 contributors to the core code. The 5 core developers are like Linus or of Linux. They decided what changes are made to the core code. One of the 5 is lead developer Vladimir, and one is chief scientist Gavin. Vladimir and Corey, an important contributing developer, were being paid out of a nonprofit organization called the Bitcoin Foundation. A few weeks ago, it blew up when one of the board members declared the foundation bankrupt. Many organizations scrambled to step in the vacuum created by the foundation and take control of the developers. We moved quickly, talking to all the various stakeholders, and the 3 developers decided to join the Media Lab. This is a big win for us. So Bitcoin had 5 core developers. And take notice, it sounds like there's some ties here to Russia as well, but that's not confirmed yet. We are still getting more news on this. And then you see here, I've spoken to some of the founders of Bitcoin who are very excited. So now we know it wasn't created by some guy over in a jungle somewhere or wherever in the world. Satoshi, remember? He's the creator of Bitcoin. Now we're starting to find out that there was 5 developers of Bitcoin. Is David Schwartz involved? We really don't know. Everybody still says the NSA created Bitcoin. But Jeffrey Epstein's shocking 2016 email just dropped in the DOJ's massive 3M file dump. More than one Satoshi exists. He's pitching a Sharia fiat currency stamped within God We Trust for Middle Eastern Muslims. Epstein's chatting with Saudi royals about teaming up with unnamed Bitcoin founders to build this. This is where a lot of the corruption was happening around Bitcoin back then as well. And XRP holders back then were always telling the Bitcoin maxis that it was a pedophile coin, but nobody wanted to believe it. The Epstein files describe Michael Saylor as a complete creep and a drug addict zombie. So you see right here, Michael Saylor giving $25,000 for personality, sort of like a zombie on a drug. So right away, Bitcoin maxis on X said, oh, Saylor's different from Epstein. If you read this, it has two different scenarios. Maybe Saylor just wasn't smart enough to be part of their club, or he is way worse than they are, because they're saying that he doesn't have any personality at all. Who knows? All I know is this. This doesn't look good for Bitcoin going forward. And this is another reason why I would never hold Bitcoin. Email to Epstein referring to Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan as his chum, aka close friend. Not looking good for JP Morgan. And you see right here, he was then recruited by your chum, Jamie Dimon, to help motivate middle management at JP Morgan. I thought if you were still in Paris, you might enjoy meeting them. So Jamie Dimon has his hands in here as well. Are you starting to get the idea that this is where the early beginnings of the Rippleverse SEC case really started? You got to remember, there's a lot of ties in here to a lot of people that shouldn't have their hands in the cookie jar, but yet they did. And here's what David Schwartz had to say. I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if this is just the tip of a giant iceberg. And he put out there that Ripple and Jed's new Stellar are bad for the ecosystem we are building. They were building the Bitcoin ecosystem. And everything I just shared with you is from the Justice Department. And you see the files right here. But this is something most XRP holders knew all along. And every time you brought it up right away, the Bitcoin maxis tried their best to shut you down for all these years. And now it's all coming to light. And then Raw Paul is talking about quantum computing and Bitcoin. Take a listen to this.
So let's say today China has a quantum computer. What do they do with that? Where's the highest prize? Is it to hack Bitcoin and everybody sees immediately that there's been a quantum hack of Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to zero? None of the money, they won't make any money from it because the prices would fall immediately. Where's the biggest prize? Well, it's the US defense system, the European defense system, Google, Facebook. I mean, the entire system is based on that SHA-256 encryption. We're going to have to change all of these things. So if quantum was the risk, then Google's share price will be falling. The US government would be in blind panic. So I don't believe that to be the case. But do we take it seriously? We need to. You know, Ethereum's moving that way. Sui's moving that way. I'm sure Solana are. And finally, the Bitcoin devs are starting to wake up and realize that you're going to have to do something. But Bitcoin is always slow to move, takes a lot of debate. But, you know, we don't want to lose all the old tokens because it's not the new wallets that matter. It's the old ones where you've got the quantum problem. So I think game theory would suggest crypto is the last place that they'd start because there's not going to be some guy in his garage. It has to be a nation state, really, or a giant tech company to have a quantum computer that's able to do this. And where would they put it first? Because if not, you make the announcement to the world, we've got quantum computing. And you would attack Bitcoin first? No, you'd attack all of the defense, all of the everything else, And then you might try and scoop a bit of Bitcoin if you can before.
Now, here's my thoughts on this, and I even made a post on this earlier today. What I said was this. Maybe it's not about the money. Maybe it's about ethics. You know, a lot of people out there know what Bitcoin was used to do early on, especially now that we see it mentioned in the Epstein files. So maybe someone would put ethics above money and just send Bitcoin to zero just for the hell of it. Just be on principle alone. Or maybe this is how the U.S. government takes down Bitcoin, because there's not going to be competition to digital money. People could forget about that right now. Everybody always said, oh, well, Bitcoin's the competition to this and it's a competition to that. Well, if the government sees it as competition, they're going to do what they can to eliminate it. So maybe they eliminate it through quantum computers, sending it to zero. But I know this. You will know as soon as quantum computers show up. I think a lot of these OG Bitcoin holders, they're going to flee Bitcoin before the rise of quantum computers because they already know it's a real threat. They already know it's coming. Right now, they figure I'll cash in while I can and I'll get out before it happens. But I think it's going to come without a warning. XRP and Bitcoin are in top 5 most popular assets right now. So the price drops and Bitcoin and XRP on major social media platforms really start to amp up. People can't stop talking about them. And the tone of those discussions indicates an increase in bullish sentiment. Aggregated activity from X, Reddit, Telegram, 4chan, Forecaster, and Bitcoin talk shows, both assets leading in engagement, debate, and forward-looking speculation. A signal many analysts interpret as early indicator of investor attention rotating back towards large-cap crypto. I think the reason people are talking about it now is you probably got new investors coming in now on this dip because maybe somebody said, don't buy yet, just wait until it dips first and then buy some XRP or buy some Bitcoin. But on top of that, most people already know a rebound is going to happen. You know, everybody gives up as soon as the market turns red, but we've seen this in crypto time and time again. And right away, when everybody thinks it's over, that's when the excitement begins. U.S. Treasury Department imposes sanctions on Iranian crypto exchanges for the first time. So the two exchanges that they put sanctions on is ZSEX Exchange Limited and Zion Exchange Limited, which U.S. officials say are linked to Zanjani and have processed large transaction volumes related to IRGC affiliated companies. So think about it like this. Everybody thinks all these exchanges are totally safe. The exchanges are never going to go down and so on. But if you are holding any crypto on any exchange that doesn't do KYC or AML, know your customer, or anti-money laundering, there's a chance once regulations come that those exchanges fold up like an overnight event. It's the same reason I'm always telling you, get your crypto off the exchanges. You don't buy groceries at the grocery store and leave them behind. You don't buy crypto on exchanges and then leave it behind. Always custody your own crypto. Keep your crypto safe. Not your keys, not your crypto. But the reason I wanted to talk about what's going on with Epstein right now is because some people are trying to spin it like this is bad for Ripple and Stellar. You could try to spin this as much as you want. The facts are the facts. XRP and XLM were a threat to Bitcoin all the way back in 2014, and they seen them as a threat back then. Look at where we are today. That threat, you're seeing adoption already for both XRP and XLM all around the world. We're on the verge of institutional adoption. A lot of these institutions are already looking past Bitcoin now. The threat is only rising. And just wait until XRP flips Bitcoin. I'm telling you now, that is coming. That will happen. And when it happens, you're going to start to see Bitcoin become very irrelevant very quick. Because the belief system will die the second it is no longer the number one cryptocurrency. And until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.